What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Locked on Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. A solemn episode today. Exciting, but solemn, as the trade deadline for the San Jose Sharks is coming up. And for the rest of the league, it's not just the Sharks deadline. Deadline's coming up, so we figured we might as well take a little dive into and sniff around what would happen if the Sharks decided that Tomas Hertl needed to go or he didn't want to stay. So JD put a lot of work into this and found some historical trades, found some teams with prospects. And we're going to dive into maybe the start of the conversation about what a Tomas Hertl trade will look like. Sorry, everybody.
You're Locked on Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Apologies again that we're doing this, but hey, it's part of life. Yep. I'm your host, Kyle Demetrius. Back with me, as always, is co-host JD, the Jalen Waddle to my Jamar Chase.
Ooh, that's a good one. Waddle had a really good season, but Jamar Chase is just anyway.
Jamar Chase's playoff game this week against the Titans was absolutely bonkers.
Dolphins Twitter was already, if we had taken Chase, and it's like, well, I don't think Chase would do the exact same thing he did on the Dolphins. Anyway,
no, the problem is that Tua is not very good. So
I think Tua. Anyway,
we're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you on that trade. Don't you worry.
I'm not ready to give up yet. Anyway,
I still believe. Damn it.
I still believe. Maybe
it's real to me. Damn it! What an original. We were talking about this the other day. Original YouTube videos from back when we were younger, like our teens or whatever, when YouTube was invented. Still real to me, damn it, is so good.
It's up there.
It's a classic.
So
Tommy.
So we are going to look at this as, the big thing is if Hertl he holds all the cards. If he says, I don't want to resign, then Doug Wilson has to trade him, right? That's the thing. So, but if Hertl wants to resign, I still think it's in the best interest of the Sharks to resign him. Just because
they got $7 million now.
Yeah, they do have $7 million, which makes this a lot easier. And it's just trying to find a player of Hertl's caliber is very difficult to do, right?
Yes, but at the same time, he's 28. He's going to be turning 29 this year.
Yes.
If you sign him to an 8-year deal, you're doing what you did with Couture and Burns and Vlasic and Carlson, where you're signing them for a few years of good play and then a bunch of years of shitty play, because by the end of it, he's going to be like 36.
Yes, well, on bad knees, et cetera, et cetera. We've discussed. So, the big thing is kind of looking back, we'll get into some of the other trades, but kind of looking back is, it always starts with that first round pick. And I don't think the Sharks should be focusing on the first round pick. If you look, you'll say to me, they got a first round pick for Barclay Goodrow. That's great if you turn Barclay Goodrow and a third round pick into an Ozzy Weissblatt. If you turn Tomas Hertl into an Ozzy Weissblatt, you're going to have a bad time. So that's why I think, because no matter, if the teams that you're going to be trading for, these are going to be cup caliber teams, right? You're going to be picking in the back half, the back probably 4 to 6 picks here.
Now, one caveat, though, is that a team on the upswing could take a swing at Tomas Hertl and be like, well, he could be part of our core. I'm not saying he's going to get traded to the Ducks, because I don't think they would do that. But a team like the Ducks, who's coming up, they could be like, well, we have a lot of prospects. We could probably part with Troy Terry and random guy X. Yeah. I don't really. Jacob Pelche, he play for them? No, he plays for the Flames. Doesn't matter. Some situation like that where a team that's not necessarily your Colorados, your Tampas, your Floridas could come in and be like, well, I think we're on the upswing. Mm-hmm. Let's get him in here and do it. However, Hertl has a 3-team trade list. That's it.
Yeah, so he has to be willing to go.
So his 3 teams are also probably stupid, like LA, Anaheim, and Vegas, teams that they would never trade him to. You know what I mean? If he was smart.
This is a very good YouTube episode. So if you are not watching on YouTube, you probably should, because I made fancy graphics. What we're going to show here is we're going to show some historical trades that guys who forwards, most of them were wingers, but forwards who are making around the same amount of money as Hertl and were also kind of the same production. So if we go back to 2008.
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
Hertl is 28. He makes $5.625 million, and he's got 21 goals and 16 assists for 37 points in like 42 games.
Yep. So we are.
So as like an FYI, that's kind of what we're working with.
Yep.
He's just below a point per game production, but he's a center, and he has been around a point per game in previous years. So
yes, and Hertl, he's a center. He's played big overtime. He's played big minutes. He can play.
He's like every team in the league should be calling and asking what they can get, like how they can get him. That's the kind of caliber player he is at this point.
Yes. All right. So if we go way back the time machine to 2008,
those jerseys.
Yeah. Sweet jerseys. Marian Hossa at the time of the trade was 29, making $6 million. In 60 games, he had 26 goals, 30 assists. So he was traded with Pascal Dupuis to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a first-round pick in the 2008 draft. Colby Armstrong, Eric Christensen, and Angelo Esposito. So
all of those players are freaking garbage. FYI.
So Dalton LeVield, who was the 29th pick in the 2008, never played in NHL games. So it's great to try to get these first round picks, but this is like worst case scenario where you're trading away a player and you get. So Colby Armstrong was 25 at the time of the trade with 9 goals, 15 assists, and 54 NHL games. Eric Christensen, 24 at the time of the trade with 9 goals, 11 assists, and 49 games. Angelo Esposito, 20th pick in the 2007 draft. Never played a game in the NHL.
Angelo Esposito, I also believe, is like a gross slumlord in Montreal now, so screw that guy. But that's the problem, like you said at the beginning, is that focusing on the first-round pick is probably not great because in this particular trade, they got 2 first-round picks, 2007 and 2008. Esposito was already drafted, but he was a year removed from being a first-round pick. They didn't even pan out. So, like, I've never even heard – like, I know who Angelo Esposito was and stuff. I've never heard of Dalton LeVay. I never heard of that person. And like Colby Armstrong was mediocre at best. He was like kind of like a fighter, and Eric Christensen never really panned out to anything. So like what they got, like this was a fleasing for the Penguins. They gave up nothing. Like I mean, in theory, they gave up their 2008 first, and Angelo Esposito was a good prospect, and he should have been better. That like he should have panned out, but obviously that's the risk you run when you trade for somebody who's never played an NHL game. Like this was bad because Pascal Dupuis was like useful-ish,
and he was making like no money too. So that was the other thing. Too.
$888K a year. What a time to be alive. And Marian Hossa,
very good.
56 points in 60 games. He's in the Hall of Fame or went to the Hall of Fame or is going to the Hall of Fame, something like that. He's really good.
Yeah, help the Penguins win a cup. This one might sound familiar. Sharks acquire Evander Kane, 2018, February 2018, traded by Buffalo Sabres to the San Jose Sharks for a first-round pick, and then a fourth-round pick in 2020, and Danny O'Regan.
Remember Danny O'Regan?
Yes, Danny O'Regan with his 5 points in 26 career games. And then, yes. So Evander Kane at the time, 26 years old, was making 5.25, so a little bit younger, left wing, 20 goals and 20 assists in 60 games. We know how the Kane thing turned out, but 2019 first round pick Braden Tracy just made the NHL, and then fourth round pick was Ethan Kempen. Who cares? So, but again,
also I don't really care about Braden Tracy either. He's whatever.
Again, Braden Tracy, as much as Evander Kane is, if you're just talking about Evander Kane on the ice, I don't think Braden Tracy is ever going to be as good as Evander Kane. So
probably not.
Evander Kane off the ice.
This at the time of the trade.
Yes,
this was an absolute highway robbery.
Yes,
it helped that Buffalo just wanted nothing to do with Evander Kane, so they got him for like 5 cents on the dollar.
Yeah,
but like I mean, re-signing him has led to the Joe Pavelski stuff and all that kind of good stuff. But
the trade itself, like if you're trying to make a cup, the trade itself was
good. It was the re-signing that was bad for San Jose, and we're looking at just the trade. So
yes,
again, those first round picks are dicey.
Yes.
This one's weird.
Yes, Taylor Hall. At the time of the trade, so when he got traded from New Jersey to the Coyotes were trying to get like a bit of a reboot at the time and trying to go in. The Coyotes never have a plan, but anyway.
They did make the bubble.
They did make the bubble, so good for them. Traded by the New Jersey Devils with Blake Spears to the Arizona Coyotes for a first-round pick in 2020, top 3 protected. Kevin Ball, third-round pick in 2021. Our good friend Nick Merkley and Nate Schnarr.
Nate Schnarr is a good name.
Yes, schneider. Taylor Hall at the time of the trade, 28 years old, was making $6 million, so a little bit more than our good friend Hertl. 6 goals, 19 assists in 30 games. Blake Spears was a 2015 5 career games. Who cares? Throw in. So Nick Merkley.
One caveat though.
Yes.
Taylor Hall had won the Hart the year before.
Taylor Hall, very
He had
good.
like 90 points.
Yes. It's funny now that he's on Boston, where it's like, oh yeah, you remember Taylor Hall's really good at hockey. But
yeah,
Nick Merkley, 41 games played, 4 goals, 11 assists. Nathan Schneider, 2017 third-round pick, has not played in the NHL. Kevin Ball, 2018 second-round pick, 11 games, 2 assists.
Kevin Ball, along with the picks, was kind of the centerpiece of this trade because he's like this big, giant, like 6'6" defenseman that everybody thought was going to be amazing, and he really hasn't got there. There's still time, but he's kind of big and useless.
The picks, so the 2020 first-round pick turned into Dawson Mercer, who's
great pick.
Yes, 36 games played, 9 goals, 11 assists. When I did this, it might be a little bit different. So if it's not up to date, sue me. And then 2021, Ryder Korczak. Yep. So
this is the trade. This is the trade where the picks pan out.
Yes, Dawson Mercer.
It helps. Yeah. It helps that the Devils acquired a Coyotes pick, so it wasn't like 30th overall like some of the other ones are. But this is the one trade where the picks. I think it's the one trade. Yeah, this is the trade where the picks actually turned out because you get Dawson Mercer. Ryder Korczak is kind of on the upswing. So really, the Devils acquired Dawson Mercer and Kevin Ball with some Ryder Korczak in there because Nick Merkley doesn't even play for them anymore.
Yep.
But yeah, this is the one where the picks pan out, which I don't think that we're super pumped on.
Nope. Yeah. All right. Last one, Matt Duchene.
He likes country music.
He does like country music. So this is when he was traded from the. So I didn't want to do the one where he got traded from the Avs to the Sens because that was a 3-team trade, and that was a little bit.
It was weird.
That was a weird trade. The Avs absolutely fleeced everybody, and that's basically the core of that. That's been helpful for them. So,
yes.
But all right. So February 2019, Matt Duchene traded with Julius Bergman to the Columbus Blue Jackets for Vitaly Abramov, Jonathan Davidson, a 2019 first-round pick. So Matt Duchene at the time of the trade, 20 years old, making $6 million, 27 goals, 31 assists in 50 games, so right on the same kind of pace as.
Way more, way better.
Way more, but but Duchene's a little bit more like offense. He doesn't do all the other stuff that Hertl does, like penalty kill, stuff like that.
Try.
Yes. And then Vitaly Abramov, 1 point in 5 games. Jonathan Davidson, 1 point in 6 games. And Lassie Thompson, who I don't think you're very high on, has 3 points.
No, Lassie Thompson sucks. What a blown pick that was. Vitaly Abramov, though, can still be something. And they're just not really – he kind of got passed over with all the young guys like Formenton and Batherson and Stützle and Brady Tkachuk and stuff that came in. I think Vitaly Abramov is a guy that you could maybe go snag. Try to find a new place and see what you got there because he is an offensively talented guy. Jonathan Davidson, I have no idea who that even is, and Lassie Thompson is just not good.
That's me. But yeah, that's the other thing is you can't trust the center. Like the Sharks seem much better at drafting than the centers, but at the same time,
you mean the Blue Jackets?
The Blue Jackets. Anyway,
so this is the kind of thing. This is the kind of trade where they grabbed a first, but they also got a good prospect in Vitaly Abramov because he was a top tier guy.
Yes. All right. So Kyle, before we continue, actually, it's my turn. Let us tell you guys quickly about our friends over at Bet Online. So Bet Online, I'd like to wish you a new happy betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. Bet Online remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. A new year and new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline's the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
So I think the thing here is that we're of one mind. We're of a similar mind. Oh, there's Matt Duchene again.
Yes.
I think the Sharks should be going after a high-end prospect that we know is on the way to panning out, or like when we go back and look through those trades, like getting the Vitaly Abramovs, getting the did anybody else like getting the? I know he didn't pan out, but getting the Angelo Esposito, getting the Kevin Ball. Yep. Those guys were all prospects at the time who should have been panning out and should have been going. I think they should go for somebody a little closer to the NHL. But then again, I mean, you're talking about prospects that went to like the Thrashers and the Coyotes and the Blue Jackets and the Senators. So like, there's a big difference in organizations. But I do agree where, a first or a package of first is nice, but at the same time, I think you had mentioned William Eklund's going to be in the NHL next year.
You're trying to build the core around William Eklund. So finding someone who can step into the NHL either next year or the year after when Eklund is starting to make an impact, that's what you need to do.
Yeah. So drafting a guy 26th overall in 2022 is going to push the can down the road even farther. And then you're really hoping that Robbins and Duchene and stuff come in quickly. So I think, as you can see on the screen here, we're going to talk about some teams that we would like him to go to. And the first one on here has Colorado, and it says Bowen Byram and Alex Newhook.
Yeah. So Colorado has been a big name for the Hertl trade. Just because if you can do McKinnon, Kadri, Hertl, like down the center, that is spicy. But
you could even throw Hertl back on the wing.
You could throw Hertl on the wing. It just gives them a lot of flexibility, right? So, so the Colorado, they're very tight though. So they deadline space of $1 million, and they have no first or second round picks in the 2022 draft. They do have their picks available in the 23-24 draft, but like, so this is a team that has cup aspirations, right? They've been close, but they haven't been able to get over that second round. So this kind of feels like they're all in year, especially without the draft picks that they have. So they feel like a team where you could maybe pry away one of their really top prospects if they're trying to win the cup. And, if you win the cup, you don't really care about your prospects, right? That's, look at the Bruins, look at the Caps, stuff like that. Like their prospect pools are terrible, but they've won a cup recently and they don't care. So
look at the Sharks. Like, honestly, the Sharks should have won a cup. They didn't. They were very successful, and they have no prospect pool because they were going in to try to win the cup every year. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it does. So the first guy let's talk about is Bowen Byram. So the big thing with him right now, though, is he has a concussion history, and like he's actually out right now due to concussions. That's the kind of big scare with him. So
yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah. He's a left-handed defenseman, 20 years old, 2019 fourth pick in the draft. Thank you to Mr. I think that
Tkachuk.
Was the was that?
It's Brady Tkachuk. They kept that. That's the thing.
In the NHL, 13 points in 37 games. Quick scouting report: Byram is an elite skating defender with good size, a great shot, and high hockey IQ. So he's a guy you could partner with Ryan Merkley and.
No, he's getting. You wouldn't even partner him with Ryan Merkley because he will be on like your top pair. Like he would go with like Erik Karlsson or something.
But anyway, yeah. So like, especially because the Sharks don't really have a lot of left-handed defensemen that we like, Knyzhov and stuff like that, but they don't have a blue chip.
Bowen Byram would instantly be the second or first best prospect in the Sharks pool. So like that's how good he is.
Yes, he's very good. The concussions worry me a little bit. So next is center Alex Newhook. 2019 16th pick in the draft. He's 20 years old. NHL 16 points in 35 games. Quick scouting report. Newhook has a game-breaking talent that if you listen to us in the draft season, that's the thing you're looking for, that game-breaking talent. His speed is amongst the best in the class, and he has acceleration, edge work, and agility to go with it.
I mean, you don't even have to worry about a scouting report. He's literally in the NHL doing well.
He's in the NHL now, yeah. So I'm sure Colorado would like to keep him, but I think if they could upgrade from Newhook to Hertl, and if you're trying to win a cup this year, so
yeah, I mean, like the problem with like a Newhook, for instance, they need to have some people for the future, and Newhook is probably their best like forward prospect. So like
this would be the toughest one. Yeah, he'd be tough to.
Yeah, like Newhook and Byram are going to be hard, but I mean, like I guess it depends how desperate they are. You know what I mean to trade because the thing with Newhook is that he contributes to their team. He's like literally on their team, so you'd be taking him out of the team.
So, and then
still would love Newhook though. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Last guy, Oscar Oleson, 19-year-old. He's played 2021 28th round pick, 28 points in 27 games with the Barrie Colts and Oshawa Generals. He's got report have projected him as a middle six winger in the NHL, which is a fair comment to make. When Oleson is on, he's very much a top end winger, but he needs to learn to have that motor going all the time. He does tend to disappear from stretches and games. So
yeah, I think this is the kind of guy that they would probably be more in line to get. I mean, like, we want them to get as close to the NHL guy as ready. So like Newhook's in the NHL, Byram is pretty much in the NHL. Though that'd be amazing. But like Oleson, he was drafted in 2021. It's you're getting closer to what you want. I just don't know if he's good enough for Tomas Hertl. You need a bunch of other, like if you get Byram or Newhook, you can be like, okay, and then give us like a second and a third or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you can really thin out the package. Whereas Oleson, it's probably like, well, we want Oleson and a first. Like you just got to build more. But this prospect is probably easier to part with than like a Newhook who is literally in the NHL. But yeah, Oscar Oleson's fine.
Yep. All right, next team, the New York Rangers. So
they have
so
much deadline space.
Yes, they have a ton. So they have 23 million in cap space. They have their first. They have 2 seconds in this draft, and they have first and second in the next couple of years. They're fun to think about because their whole thing is they have a bajillion wingers and not a ton of centers.
They also have a million prospects. So like we listed 3 here. Like if you're looking, it says Lundqvist, Schneider, Othman. They also have like a bunch of other guys that we didn't even pick because there's just too many guys. And they have guys in the NHL. Like think about it. Lafreniere's in the NHL. Fox is in the NHL. Capocaco's in the NHL. Julian Gauthier is kicking around. Like they just have a ton of guys. Zach Jones, I believe we didn't even list on here. They just have so many prospects that elevated. So this is a team where you can definitely pull a bunch of prospects from them because they have so many. They can part with at least 1 or 2 of them. It's not going to be an issue.
There's like go dig in the prospect bin and find whatever you want.
Yeah, just take one. We don't really care as long as it's not Fox or Lafreniere. Whatever, we don't care.
Yeah. So and they could be interesting where they might try to package like one of their wingers and or like some of their guys who are kind of just made the NHL over because they're trying to.
This is where Ryder Korczak is, for instance. Didn't even talk about him before. Like it's wild what's going on here with the Rangers, and the Rangers are really good. So
yep, yeah, and then with them too is like since they have the deadline space that they can easily take on the Hertl contract and not have to that does work in less of a favor for the Sharks, where they don't have to kind of get that extra sweetener for eating contract. But so yeah, let's start with Niles Lundqvist, who's 21 years old, 2019 28th overall pick, 4 points in 25 games in the NHL, has obvious puck moving skills thanks to excellent mobility from the back end with a high hockey IQ. Is a flashy playmaker from the back end and owns supreme confidence with the puck on his stick, oozes offense on the ice.
Yeah, so the Rangers just sent him back down to Hartford or whatever. They've been moving him around, and Rangers fans typically aren't happy because they're keeping like shitty actual NHL guys on the team that like just aren't good, and they keep sending like Lundqvist and Zach Jones down. This is the kind of guy you want. He's not Bowen Byram, but he's pretty good and he's ready for the NHL. You can just literally get him and put him on your team.
Braden Schneider is also a right-handed defenseman, 20 years old, 2020 19th pick, 9 in the AHL, 9 points in 24 games. He does have 1 point in 4 games in the NHL. Scouting report has a size, skating ability, right-handed shot, poison, defensive chops to play big minutes in the National Hockey League for a very long time. Does not have the high-end offensive acumen, but does not prevent him from logging a ton of ice time at all game situations. He's going to just be like an overall sound guy, not the flashiest, but like
that's fine. Like you could be getting a plug and play top 4 guy instantly. This is what people want Mario Ferraro to be, is Braden Schneider. And the funny thing is we just listed off 2 defensemen. Maybe they really like Lundqvist and Zach Jones and Braden Schneider. And so they trade Keandre Miller, who's on their team right now. We didn't even list him, but he's also like 21 and on their team. So like, and the Rangers have a ton of options.
Yes. All right.
Look at this picture. Why is his head so small?
I don't know.
Look how big his helmet is.
He's only 19, dude. He's got to grow into it. Brendan Othman, 19-year-old, 2021 16th overall pick, 51 points in 32 games for the Flint Firebirds. Othman loves nothing more than to collect the puck on the breakout, lead the charge in the offensive zone, turn the corner on opposing defenders, and always attacks at full speed, playing at a high-paced style and pressuring with that same level of intensity.
Cool. So, I'm not a big Brendan Othman guy, whatever. But I mean, again, this guy's going to be a little bit farther away from the NHL, but he's going to be on the.
He could be coming in with your Bordelos, Gushins, et cetera, guys.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And another person we didn't list here because I think
there's too many for the Rangers.
There's too many for the Rangers, but Benjamin Gaudreau's playing really well in the OHL. But the Rangers have Shesterkin in net and then Georgiev as the backup. But they have Dylan Garand in their pool, and he was the starting goaltender for Team Canada at the World Juniors before it got canceled. Has like a .925 save percentage in the WHL right now. Like you could just be like, okay, we want Dylan Garand. That's the guy that we want, and it's like, okay, well, maybe sure.
That sounds pretty sick.
Like also they just called up Morgan Barron. Like they have so many options. It's worth taking a peek through the Ranger system and seeing what's going on here.
Yeah, they have a lot. So, all right. Next is the Boston Bruins, who have been tied just because they've been looking for that 2C guy. You know, they have the perfection line, which is great, but then like that second line to partner with Taylor Hall, I think is kind of where they're looking to add somebody. Deadline space about $8 million right now. They do have their one first and one second round pick in this. They only have one guy I really care about, and that's Fabian Lysell.
And I don't even really care that much about Fabian Lysell.
Yeah, their prospect pool is just bad because they've been really good for a long time, right? And they've been trying to win cups. So, but Fabian Lysell, 19 years old, 2021 first round pick in the WHL this year. He has 30 points in 24 games for the Vancouver Giants. Scouting report: Lysell is dynamic, free-flowing skater who has a rare top speed and agility with the puck on his stick.
Yeah, he's fine. I don't know. It's not what you want. This would be a team where you'd try to get like a bunch of picks and stuff and hope they crater.
Yeah.
Also other guys that you may like. Jack Studnicka plays for Providence in the AHL, and he was supposed to be pretty good, but he's only got 16 points in 22 games. You could maybe grab a Lysell and a Studnicka or something like that. They also have Urho Vakanainen, who plays defense and again hasn't really lived up to where they want. Like they have John Beecher, but he's not that good.
Yeah.
And he gave Bordelot COVID, so not do that again, or almost did. Yeah. Now, the one interesting thing here, though, is that the Bruins did send Jeremy Swayman down. I think he's going to be their future goaltender, but they got Rask back and stuff. So maybe you could pry a Swayman out of them, but I doubt it. I don't think the Bruins are. It's worth looking at the Bruins, but I don't think they're a good partner.
Yeah, no, they're probably the worst partner out of all of them, but they're just one of the teams that you kind of. It makes sense from their point of view where they would really try to for sure.
I just don't think it makes sense from the Sharks' point of view, but you never know. They may be like, here, have Lysell and Studnicka and Vakanainen, and you're like, well, okay, that might be better than what other people. You never know, but I wouldn't be like, yes, Bruins, thank you for joining the party.
Yes. All right, the last team, the Minnesota Wild.
I hate this because this doesn't make any sense.
Why? They're a very good team, so.
Yeah, they just have no space. They shot themselves in the foot with the bios. I don't know.
So they're going to be interesting because, like you said, so the deadline space, they have $1.5 million. They still have their first and second round pick and all their picks available in the upcoming drafts. But yeah, they're going to be tough because since they have the buyouts where they're going to probably be trying to utilize these guys who are going to be on cheap contracts or are supposed to be good in the upcoming years.
So getting rid of them now to make a shot may not. They really have to weigh it, especially if they're trying to. Like the team that trades for Tomas Hertl is probably going to want to extend him.
Yes,
might also be a caveat where Hertl says, "I'm only waiving my no trade clause for an extension as well." So if
like
that's
Mark
the case,
where it was like he got traded and then signed an 8-year extension like 20 minutes later.
So there might be a case like that, and if that's the case, then Minnesota's for sure out because they just have no room. But their prospect pool absolutely rocks.
Yes. So
this is probably the most unrealistic one because at least with Colorado, you could see where they're weighing McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, Makar, Girard, Tays. You know what I mean? Where they're weighing that with let's just get a cup now.
Yep.
We can deal without a new hook because we have such good players. Whereas Minnesota's like their leading goal scorer is Ryan Hartman. That's not going to happen again. They're really banking on Kaprizov, and then these guys that we're talking about. So I would love these guys, but
a man
much tougher sell.
Yeah, a man can dream, Kyle. All right,
we're gonna dream right now because Marco Rossi rules.
Marco Rossi, 2020 9th overall pick in the HL. He has 26 points in 26 games with the Iowa Wild. He has an exceptional sense of spacing, both on and off the puck, capable of playing in the most sensitive for him and her portions of the offensive zone and suffering hardly any physical wear for the trouble. If there's an opening, then Rossi's going to go find it and ruthlessly exploit it. I love that.
Oh, he's so nasty. And he's Austrian, which is hilarious. Always love to have a hilarious hockey country in there.
Yes, so I think
he's nasty. If he didn't get the vid, interesting to see where he would have went in the draft last year. Honestly, I would just want to trade Hertl for Rossi and like a 3rd round pick or something like that and be done with it. Like Marco Rossi and William Eklund would be absolutely rock solid way to start your franchise back up.
That's how you re-kick.
I love Marco Rossi.
Next, a man that we both love.
Also love.
Goalie Jasper Wallstrom, 2021 20th pick in the SHL. He has a .918 save percentage, 195 goals against in 20 games for Luleå. We've pined many times about Jasper Wallstrom. He's a strong, fluid skater in the crease, doesn't mind coming out to challenge incoming threats. He'll ramp up the aggression when necessary, but only when the moment calls for it. He tracks pucks well and doesn't get rattled when he makes mistakes. Wallstrom and Gaudreau would be like the 2 best goalies in the draft, and you get them both. I mean, if you saw World Juniors where he was just like
he was amazing.
A casual 40 save shutout or whatever he had, just like it's fine. Yeah.
There's no shot that they trade Wallstrom.
No, there's no shot.
If they could. I would trade Hertl for Wallstrom almost straight up.
Yes.
Almost. I would think about it.
Left wing Matt Boldy, 2019's 12th overall pick. The AHL, he had 10 points in 10 games this year. He did have a fractured ankle in the preseason, so he's just coming back from that. Boldy is a highly skilled winger, a finesse player with impressive creativity, a quick release, and fine playmaking ability. Not the fastest of skaters, but Boldy's hockey sense and overall skill level allows him to be a reliable offensive threat.
So, yeah, he's nasty and will be in the NHL. Like you literally trade for him and just throw him on the NHL team. He's ready.
Yes. So
these are the kind of guys that you want. Rossi, Boldy. Like those are the guys you want because they're just like Byram, Newhook, Rossi, Boldy. Like they're ready to go.
Yeah, those are like our center. If you're going to trade Hertl, you got to find someone who can help Eklund right away, right? You don't want to wait for Eklund, to be developing, and then this guy comes. Like you want to find him that tag team partner right away, and that's our whole thing this offseason is whether through the draft or whatever, find Eklund a friend. And I mean, some of these are definitely a little bit out there, but these are the type of guys that you want to look for is to try to find these finding a high-end prospect over a late first round pick is the strategy here if you're Doug Wilson.
Yeah, and obviously we could talk about other teams like you got your Torontos, your Floridas, your Tampas, but again, like how is Toronto going to fit Hertl in? What are they going to give you? Like Nick Robertson? I don't want Nick Robertson. He's ass. You know what I mean? Like Florida, what's Florida going to give you? What's Tampa? Like there's teams that have constraints and are not going to be able to do it. And then on the converse side, like I'd love to trade Hertl to Montreal and get some of their top guys, but like it's probably not going to happen because he's not going to want to go there. So tried to find some teams that made sense. We tried to find some teams that made sense. And obviously, as we get closer to the deadline and we know what Hertl's going to do, we can revisit this as well. And as the rumors come up, so we're not saying that he's going to go to one of these 4 teams.
We're just having the conversation,
just starting the conversation off because the deadline's coming up in like
about a month
and a half. I think it's like beginning of March or something like that. I don't know. But we start these conversations now so you can kind of like think about what kind of stuff you want for Hertl. And I think JD and I both agree that a prospect that's almost NHL ready or is NHL ready is more valuable and more. If the package has to be smaller and built around a Newhook or a Rossi,
that's fine.
That's fine. You don't need to touch the bottom of the pool here with 7 different things like the Hall trade.
Yeah.
Rather just get 2 really good things than 5 mediocre things.
Yep. Because again, if you want to kickstart your next core, you got to find someone who's going to be on the same development path as Eklund. So
exactly. So if you have any ideas about where he should go or what he should get, you can let us know at Twitter, Locked On Sharks, or Facebook or Instagram. We check all of those. JD puts up all our work on Facebook and Instagram, so you can always message us there and interact with us at Locked On Sharks. YouTube, if you want to watch us, is a good episode to watch because JD made a whole bunch of graphics that look really nice. Eat your heart out. Other Sharks things, podcasts, websites, blogs, fake journalists, all of you. Check us out at YouTube, getting close to 550. Listening to us, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, Apple, whatever. You know where to find us. YouTube, if you have a really dumb trade idea like Hertl for McDavid straight up, you can email that to us at lockedonsharks@gmail.com. If you have an email list,
I think the Oilers might do it right now.
Yeah, they might. So maybe that one going in. Hertl for McKinnon straight up. Please email that to us. If you would like to talk to JD and tell him how good his graphics looked and how much work he did, that's good. You should do that at MyFryHole.
Kyle, still waiting on that Jeff Friesen jersey. Is that Kyle Demetrius?
Forgot about that.
Yes. We'll be back tomorrow to preview the Sharks Caps as they kick off this brutal death march along the
death march.
The death march. So yeah, go. Thank you, of course, as always, making us your first listen. Go check out Locked On Bets if you want to make some money. Go check out any of the other fine Locked On podcasts, such as
Locked On. I don't know, Bengals.
He said Bengals. So he keeps.
I know. That's why it just came to my head. Hold on. Let me read you this. Locked On
Wildcats.
Wildcats.
Who are we gonna beat?
The Wildcats.